What's happening, guys and girls? Acrinator here, and welcome to another episode of World of Warcraft Dungeon Overview. This episode will be delving into the ancient Drakkari Keep, and learning that even the mighty trolls must fight for their very lives against the Scourge. I'll be running through this instance with my warrior you see here, so with that being said, let's dive straight into it. Any of you who are relatively versed in Warcraft lore will likely already know that the trolls are of the oldest races on Azeroth, predating even the elves. In fact, it was from a sect of the trolls, specifically the Dark Trolls, from which the Night Elves first arose. Besides the elven progenitors, however, there are many different kingdoms of trolls throughout the land, including the Drakkari Ice Trolls. The Drakkari's empire is mostly found in modern-day Northrend, specifically in the area known as Zul'Drak. In the mountains between Zul'Drak and Grizzly Hills, the trolls built a keep in order to gain the upper hand on their ancient nemesis, the Furbolgs. For centuries, these two forces battled it out over as much of Northrend as they could get their hands on, with the trolls often coming out on top. You may be familiar with the giant tree fortress of the Furbolgs called Grizzlemaw. This structure was built in retaliation to the trolls building Drak'Tharon Keep. The trolls were more organized initially, which gave them the upper hand, but soon the tribes of the Grizzlemaw would band together to stave off the trolls' incursions. Through various skirmishes around the time of the Burning Crusade expansion for us, the Furbolgs managed to gain the upper hand and drive the Drakkari out of their ancient fort. With the Stone Keep more or less abandoned, the Lich King's forces easily occupied Drak'Tharon to claim it as their own. The Scourge now terrorizes all who oppose them from the keep, retreating to its nearly impenetrable defenses when required. Some Drakkari still attempt a raid on their lost fort from time to time, though none have returned so far. As we adventurers have made our way up the eastern coast of Northrend, we'll need to crumble Arthas's grip on Drak'Tharon if we have any hope of progressing any further into Zul'Drak. Drak'Tharon Keep is a level 62 to 67 dungeon with level 80 heroic mode located in the northwestern portion of Grizzly Hills. It shouldn't be too difficult to find since there's a giant border wall that spans the length between Zul'Drak and Grizzly Hills. Just head to the west end of that and the entrance is just inside. You may have to worry about some trash mobs if you're coming in from the ground, but nothing should be elite, so just run past them and you should be fine. Trollgore is an undead troll berserker that used to be one of the more infamous among his Drakkari brethren. Unfortunately, it wasn't really his style to bow down to others, something the Lich King didn't take kindly to. Now Trollgore is an example to all remaining Drakkari in the area of what might happen to them if they try to stand up against Arthas. This hulking, flesh-hungry beast absolutely has to go if we want any chance of clearing this fort. After walking into the boss room, you'll notice that Trollgore is standing on top of the stairs with a bunch of Drakkari trolls attacking him. Leave him be for now and focus on clearing the adds at the bottom of the stairs. After that's done, then you can worry about starting the encounter. To start the fight, I'd recommend that the tank pulls him to the edge of the stairs with the rest of the group just below. This way they should be safe from most abilities he'll try to damage you with, but just in case, let's cover the abilities he can damage you with. The first major thing you'll notice is that the bodies of the Drakkari invaders the boss previously killed will still be around. That's because Trollgore can cast Corpse Explosion, which is exactly what it sounds like. The designated corpse will glow green for a short period before damaging everyone close by. The boss can also cast Infected Wound on a player, which is a curse that increases how much damage you take by 15% for a couple seconds. I'd recommend popping any survival cooldowns if you get this, or have the healer cleanse it off you quickly. The last bit is that Trollgore will cast Consume, increasing the damage he deals for each enemy nearby. This does include the Drakkari NPCs that'll periodically join the fight, so be sure to kill them quickly. It may give him more ammo for Corpse Explosion, but it's better than the alternative. In fact, it's probably just best to down this lug ASAP, since the Consume buff does stack quite a bit. Novos was one of the more cunning and ambitious cultists within the Cult of the Damned, and he proved it at every chance he could. When push came to shove, he sacrificed his mortal ties in order to ascend into the form of a Lich. This now Master Necromancer has earned his place as one of the lead overseers of the Scourge's forces within Drak'Tharon. When you first enter the room where Novos is floating and try to engage him, he'll push all players back and put up a force field to protect himself from all damage. Trash mobs will begin making their way down the stairs, though most of these are almost negligible. I'd recommend stationing one ranged DPS at the bottom of the stairs to deal with this. The boss will also occasionally summon mobs called Crystal Handlers from the two doorways behind him. Killing these mobs will destroy one of the 4 crystals, and they will usually appear in the order of right, left, right, left. Once all 4 handlers are down, the boss's shield depletes and he is attackable. The only major attack Novos does is a curse that deals a nasty bit of shadow damage, so healers be sure to cleanse it off whoever is affected and you should be fine. King Dred is a monstrous devilsaur found within the walls of Drak'Tharon, and was once a prized companion for the hunters of the Drakkari tribe. They heard tales of the beast after some of their kin had found that it was seemingly unaffected by the spread of the plague. Drakkari trappers spent many days attempting to lure and capture Dred alive, because they believed it held the secrets to surviving the grasp of the Scourge. Even with the trolls losing their hold, the creature still wanders the courtyard undisturbed by the undead. It's hard to say whether this devilsaur actually has some antidote for the undead plague, or if the Scourge figured it would be too much effort to bring this blasted thing down. Either way, giant dino equals free loot, right? The only major thing for this fight is that you clear out as many trash mobs as you can before starting the boss. This is mostly because Dred can fear you, and it wouldn't be too good if you pull a lot more than what you can handle. Other than that, Dred has the potential to do a lot of damage the longer this fight goes on, so just burst him down quickly. Tharon'ja was the leader of the remaining force within Drak'Tharon when the Scourge attacked. Despite him possessing powers he stole from the Loa Hakar, he still fell to the undead onslaught. He now sits atop the keep, taking on the form of a skeletal soulflayer, killing any remaining Drakkari who attempt to reclaim what was once theirs. The most obvious thing that'll happen during the first phase of the fight is that a rain of fire will be cast down on a certain area. I would hope after 30-something episodes of this series, I wouldn't have to tell you to not stand in the fire. Curse of Life can also be cast on players, which will inflict damage on them periodically until they reach 50% health. Just be wary of this if you're healing so you don't lose anyone randomly. After a while, the Prophet will strip away players' flesh and grant them a new skeletal form with new abilities. These are pretty standard DPS abilities and don't really need an explanation besides use them to kill the boss. During this second phase, clouds of poisonous gas will be spread around the arena, so just don't stand in them and you're golden. After a while, the boss will return you to your normal forms, and so just rinse and repeat when you're back to normal. On a slightly related note, if you follow the story quests through Zul'Drak, there's a bit of dialogue after the final boss that may be interesting to you if you're into that sort of thing. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and if you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more like it, maybe even subscribe. Links to my social media and whatnot are in the description below, and as for the comment question, what do you think the deal is with King Dred resisting the Scourge? Do you think that it's something about its body that's actually resistance, or do you think the undead just didn't want to bother? Anyways, that's all the time I've got for today, so until next time, don't die.